Just cut right to the chase today. Most Kenyan businesses are currently stuck at stage 1. They're trapped in this cycle of copying whatever they see succeeding around them, competing purely on price, and just crossing their fingers that their margins hold up. Well, today we are taking a brutally honest look at this reality. We're going to directly diagnose this gap that's holding so many businesses back, and we'll walk through a framework for genuine innovation. Because frankly, bridging this gap isn't just about maximizing profit anymore, it is literally about survival.
I want you to just take a second to sit with the extreme tension between these two completely different realities. On one hand, you've got street-level survival, the struggling entrepreneur essentially counting coins at a roadside stall at the end of the month. On the other hand, you have universe-scale thinking, the mind-bending ambition of building a self-sustaining human city on Mars. This paradox, this massive contrast, is really our entire argument wrapped up in one thought. The big question is, can the everyday entrepreneur learn to tap into that next market-dominating idea? Or are we just doomed to keep our heads down and merely survive?
We absolutely have to name this problem unapologetically. This vicious cycle of imitation economics, it's a trap, pure and simple. It forces everyday local businesses into this weird reality flooded with distracting hype, where survival somehow starts relying on image management rather than, fundamental value creation. It's a street-level view, and it literally keeps organizations chained to mediocrity.
So why is this stage 1 thinking so incredibly dangerous today? Well, it all comes down to a rapidly shrinking timeline, 5 years. Elon Musk recently predicted that AI could actually exceed the sum of all human intelligence within just 5 years. He even went further, suggesting that in 10 years, humans might not be in charge anymore, and money itself could lose a lot of its importance by 2036, as AI robots produce this quasi-infinite economy of abundance. To put that into perspective, in that kind of reality, the distance between copying your neighbor and transforming your industry is no longer just a competitive gap. It is an existential one. If your only strategy is imitation, you are going to be automated right out of existence.
But let's be incredibly clear here. The source material we're digging into today doesn't romanticize entrepreneurship at all. Instead, it validates your pain. Musk famously said that starting a company is like eating glass and staring into the abyss. And honestly, he hits the nail on the head. We love to praise entrepreneurship, right? It creates jobs, raises incomes, drives economic development, but the actual lived reality of building a business, it is raw, it is completely unglamorous, and it is full of absolutely terrible problems that stay with you for a long time.
You know what I mean. It often means fixing constant, unexpected crises in the dark at 2 a.m., sitting all alone at a desk with crisis notifications just lighting up your screen. That right there is the abyss of uncertainty. But here is the good news. You don't actually have to stay in that abyss. Smart ideas and genuine innovation can absolutely lift your business out of the dark. The catch? Relying on random flashes of inspiration to strike is not a strategy. You need a proven, repeatable system to generate smart business insights. Having that system matters so much more than just waiting around for a light bulb moment.
So to escape this abyss, we have to move up what we call the value chain of ideas. Because the quality of your ideas directly dictates the profitability of your business. To do this, we're going to look at a very specific 6-stage diagnostic ladder. Think of this as your roadmap for ascending from those imitation economics up to genuine transformation. You need to use this to honestly diagnose exactly where you stand today, so you can figure out what it's going to take to reach that next level.
Let's walk up each rung of this ladder pretty fast. Rung 1 is copy, relying entirely on benchmarking and imitation, just competing on price. Rung 2 is improve, stepping up by using continuous improvement methods to polish what you already offer. Rung 3 is adapt, tailoring ideas to specific customer segments or local markets. Now you must rapidly move past benchmarking, improving, and adapting. Those are basically just table stakes at this point, because the most crucial turning point, the place where everything completely changes, happens right at stage 4. Stage 4 is where the real magic happens. We call it integrate. The true shift toward world-class innovation kicks off right here. This is the exact moment a business starts using systems thinking to connect insights from totally different disciplines: technology, behavioral science, engineering, economics, and design. When you combine knowledge from across all these fields, you start uncovering new opportunities that your competitors simply can't see, mainly because they're still stuck inside the box of traditional industry boundaries. Integration is exactly how leading-edge organizations systematically uncover unmet customer needs.
But to integrate successfully, you have to shift your perspective. You can't view your business as a rigid organizational chart anymore. You need to see it as an interconnected ecosystem, a living, breathing web of customers, suppliers, partners, competitors, and regulators. Suddenly, an insight in technology seamlessly connects to a shift in consumer behavior. The trick here is to observe this ecosystem without any clouded preconceptions. You have to look at the underlying structure of the system to discover the opportunities that everyone else is totally overlooking down at street level.
And when you adopt that ecosystem lens, the questions you ask begin to completely change. Instead of asking the basic stage 1 question of, hey, what product can we create to copy our competitor? Market-shaping organizations look at this living web and ask much better system-wide questions. They ask, what important problem remains unsolved, and how can we create unusual value? If you are aiming for stage 5, create, where you rapidly test new ideas through prototypes, and ultimately stage 6, transform, where you actually become a market shaper rather than a follower, this is the exact question that has to drive your daily operations.
Now, progressing up the 6-stage ladder isn't just about reading a chart and nodding along. It requires cultivating 3 reinforcing habits to survive and thrive within your industry ecosystem. First up is curiosity. You really need the ability to ask better, sometimes even oddball questions. Second is systems thinking. This is what actually puts a framework to all the complexity and constant uncertainty. It's all about understanding relationships rather than just looking at isolated events. And third, customer empathy, using design thinking to literally walk in the shoes of the customer's problem, rather than just obsessing over your own product. These 3 habits? They are the engine that pushes you from one rung of the ladder to the next.
It brings to mind what Victor Hugo famously said, "Nothing is more powerful than an idea whose time has come." As we face down a future of quasi-infinite AI abundance, we're navigating a landscape of frequent, ambiguous uncertainty. The source material reminds us that we are all constantly experimenting, just hoping our ideas don't explode on liftoff. The idea of a master strategist sitting alone in a room predicting the future? Yeah, that's pretty much a myth. But a well-timed, highly developed idea generated through a robust system of curiosity and integration, that can literally redefine an entire economy. So, that brings us to a very direct invitation. If your organization is tired of staring into the abyss, if you are truly ready to step up this ladder, moving away from benchmarking and imitation and moving toward genuine value creation, you absolutely need a system. If you want a structured approach for doing that, rather than just waiting and praying for inspiration to strike, the team at aCatalyst Consulting works with exactly that challenge. They help businesses build these habits and systematically ascend that value chain of ideas. You can learn more and take that next big step by visiting www.acatalyst.co.ke. Before you move on from this explainer, I want you to take a hard, brutally honest look at the reality of your daily operations. Ask yourself one final existential question. Which rung of the ladder is your organization truly standing on today? Are you copying or are you transforming? Because the clock is ticking, the gap is widening every single day, and your answer to that question will absolutely determine your future. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one.